Okay, let's work on problem 717 together. This is a credit policy decision problem. Johnson Electronics is considering extending trade credit to some customers that it previously considered poor risks. In other words, they weren't approved through their credit department and credit policy, and they're considering loosening some of their rules in the credit area. Sales would increase by $150,000 if credit is extended to these new customers. So we would have additional sales of $150,000. Of the new accounts receivable generated, 5% will prove to be uncollectible. Additional collection costs will be 2% of sales, and production and selling costs will be 74% of sales. The firm is in the 35% tax bracket. Compute the incremental income after taxes. So that's the very first thing we need to do, is figure out if how much in income this decision will make for the company. So let's start plugging in some of the numbers that we have here. Of the new accounts receivable generated, 5% will prove to be uncollectible. So of this number here, 5%, 0.05, will prove to be uncollectible. That means our incremental sales will be 142.5. So of the 150, we're actually going to collect $142,500. Now it says additional collection costs will be 2% of sales. So of this number, the additional sales figure, we need to multiply that by 0.02 to come up with our additional collection costs. Production and selling costs, according to this, are 74% of sales. So we need to multiply this additional sales figure by 0.74. Whoops. Times 0.74. That's our production and selling costs. That means additional income before tax is going to be our incremental sales figure minus our additional costs. Oops. Our two additional costs, our collection costs and our production and selling costs. That means our additional income before our tax that we have to pay is $28,500. However, the problem does tell us that the firm is in the 35% tax bracket. So in other words, of this $28,500, the government gets 35% of it, $9,975. That means income after taxes would be $28,500 minus the amount of taxes that we have to pay, $18,525. So that's the answer to letter A. Compute the incremental income after taxes. So far it's a positive, but we need to see in terms of our returns and what our incremental income is, and compare that to our, eventually to our expectations or requirements. So B, what will Johnson's incremental return on sales be if the new customers are accepted? All right, so incremental return on sales will be our incremental income, which is $18,525, divided by the additional sales figure that we have. That'll tell us what our incremental return on sales will be. So if we divide 18,525 by 150,000, our incremental return on sales is 12.35%. 12.35%. Now the next question asks us, if the receivables turnover ratio is 3:1 and no other asset buildup is needed to serve the new customers, what will Johnson's incremental return on the new average investment be? So in other words, when sales increase, our receivables balance is going to increase, which the company is treating as an investment, okay, because it's an investment of their cash balance into their receivables balance. So we need to figure out how much in new receivables a sales is going to generate, and then calculate our return based on our incremental revenue of that investment in cash into receivables. So we're given some information here to calculate that. If you remember how to calculate receivables turnover from Chapter 3, it's sales divided by the receivables balance. So if we're given our receivable turnover ratio of 3 to 1, all right, all we need to really do is take our additional sales figure and divide that by our receivable turnover ratio, which is 3. And so let's go ahead and do that. Our sales divided by our receivables turnover ratio. That means this decision would increase our annual receivables balance by $50,000. So to calculate our incremental return, all right, we're investing $50,000 of our cash into receivables in order to generate an incremental income of $18,525. So we simply divide $18,525 by the $50,000 investment, and we get a 37.05% incremental return. So if the company can't generate a better return on that investment of $50,000 than 37%, then this decision makes a lot of sense. And 37% return on your investment, I think, makes a lot of sense probably for this company to consider.